So Trump seems like he is going to be cooked. Oh my goodness. He loves the uneducated.
Trump, look at this. Back in 2024, he won those voters over Kamala Harris by 14 points. You come over to this side of the screen. What's his net approval rating with him? He is underwater by 9 points. That's a 23-point switcheroo.
Holy shit.
That is cataclysmic.
That's bad. That is just bad. Oh my God. That's his base. That's his base.
And it makes sense too, right? And because David and I speak about this all the time, what has Trump really done for his base? I mean, the one things you can point to is that he closed the border, and that's about it.
That's about it. There was a rally in Pennsylvania a couple of months ago, like towards the end of the year, when they were talking about inflation being a hoax. And they had this one lady go up there and single mom, 2 kids, waitress. And she's like, after I pay my bills, I don't have money for anything.
But I love you, Donald. It's, the whole thing with, and like part of that is the tariffs and supply chains, et cetera. But the funny thing about the tariffs is the Democrats have been saying that some Democrats have been saying that we need to raise taxes on the wealthy. And Republicans always push back on that. But instead of raising tax on the wealthy, Donald Trump has raised taxes on every American through the tariffs. So instead of like the wealthy paying more, now you have like the woman like you're talking about paying more, and she just doesn't have additional money to buy anything else.
Right. And correct me if I'm wrong, when they brag about the numbers that tariffs brought in terms of dollars, what's the number? Like 300 billion, 400 billion? I think that's the number that they spout off. That's nothing. Again, Elon Musk himself is worth like 500 billion at this point, right? Like our billionaires have a combined net wealth of trillions of dollars, but you're happy that you were able to squeeze out 300 billion from the poorest Americans, because this is coming from consumer goods. This is coming from food. This is coming from toys. This is coming from school supplies. All this is the type of stuff that's a higher proportion of our budget. So we're getting taxed at a higher rate than these people.
Yeah. I mean, basically everyone, is affected by the tariffs, whereas you could sort of just the tax increase could be pinpointed right to the wealthy. But no, everyone's affected by this. And then not to mention the Obamacare subsidies being slashed, the food stamps being slashed, and a lot of his supporters, Trump supporters, were on both, right? And so,
no, they weren't on Obamacare. They were on the Affordable Care Act.
That's true.
And they weren't on food stamps. They had Family First is what they call it in Jersey, or an access card is what they call it in PA, or New York it's called a benefit card. So you can't really escape that one. But yeah, they'll call it whatever program it is, but they won't call it food stamps. They're not on food stamps.
Fair point. Touche. But it's just like all these things have hit his folks, his supporters. And then not to mention his immigration policy sucks, which I think a lot of his supporters are to blame for that, because when you say we need to deport 20 million people, but they're all criminals, don't worry about it. I mean, I think you got to be pretty fucking stupid to believe that they were all criminals, right? And that we weren't going to go down this road.
Well, he's not at 0% approval, so not yet. Let's see how much worse it gets.
With voters feeling about 2026.
Okay, so you see this drop of 23 points, right? From plus 14 Trump to now he's underwater by 9 points. How is that impacting their views on how they're going to vote for Congress? Well, you see a similar story going on here, right? Take a look. In the 2024 election, Republicans won those voters, those non-college voters, by 13 points. Now they're just ahead by just 1, 2, 3, 4 points. When you can count it on one hand, you know that you're in trouble if you're.
I fucking love Harry. Harry's the best. But that's pretty dire. Here's the point that I want people that plus 4. That's for Congress. They used to be at plus 13 when the House was up for election in 2024, along with the presidential. They were at plus 13 now they're only at plus 4 amongst non-college voters. Trump's toxicity is seeping in to the whole fucking party. I love it.
Yeah, so they have to try to pull a rabbit out of the hat here for the midterms. I mean, they have to make up at least 10 points, right? And David and I talked about this a while ago. The only thing I could see Trump doing is basically trying to buy votes. And that's going to be through like these dividend checks. He's going to say it's a tariff dividend check or an oil dividend check, where maybe in September or August, he'll give each American making under 100,000, a couple $1,000s, and he'll have his big signature on it. And he will.
September or August, he'll drop that November 1st is when everybody will get those checks.
He has to do it before mail-in voting starts. But and they're also going to try to play around with the elections, right? Obviously, they're going to try to influence them. He's already talked about.
He'll split it into 2 checks then. He'll split it into a check, $1,000 check right before mail-in voting starts, and then another $1,000 check the week of the election.
Yeah, it'll be like, if you can prove you voted for me, you can get the additional $1,000, right?
Nothing illegal there.
No, nothing illegal there. So,
I mean, listen, desperate times calls for desperate measures. And this is desperate. This is bad. So this comes from Quantus Insights, which leans right.
Yeah, and I will say about Quantus. So they accurately predicted the 24 election. They actually even predicted that Trump would win the popular vote. I think they were a few percentage points off, but they were right in the ballpark of the 24 election. So go ahead.
So no, I mean, just because they lean right doesn't mean that they're not accurate, right? Nick's just given an insight into how they actually are pretty accurate, or they have been in recent track record. And as you can see, Trump approval for ages 18 to 44. When I first looked at this and I first seen this headline, because it said young people, I'm thinking 35, 18 to 35, 18 to 30. This is 18 to 44. We're starting to scratch in the Gen Xers. Approve 27%, disapprove 72%. Woo.
Yeah.
And by the way, they strongly disapproved. 70% strongly disapprove, only 1.4% somewhat disapprove, and 3.8% somewhat approve. So that's shaky at best.
So you see his base is it's dwindled to 23. Put that back up, because you see his base dwindled to 23%. Because those are the people that strongly approve. And then basically outside of his base, he has nothing else. And so if you're Marco Rubio and JD Vance, you have to be panicking, because how can you win a 2028 election on the heels of this guy? It's going to be impossible.
I mean, that's a huge chunk of the population, 18 to 44. Again, that's all the Gen Z. That's all the millennials, and we're scratching into some Gen Xers when we talk about 44, right? So these are scary, scary, scary numbers if you're a Republican in Congress running for re-election, right? Because like I said, it's seeping through. The toxicity is seeping through, and even in normal election cycles, for some reason, the American people always like to have those checks and balances, those pesky checks and balances, right? And so usually, if a Democrat would win in, an election, the midterms, regardless of how it was going, you would always see a couple more Republicans pick up seats, right? Just to kind of put a check. And that it's just always been that way. I mean, now, if that's the natural cycle, and Trump has acknowledged that before, saying, oh, well, the incumbents usually do bad in the midterms, this is going to be a fucking wipeout.
Yep. And to me, the interesting thing with these polls is, you mentioned the Republicans that are up, that have elections that are in purple seats, or even seats that lean Dem or even lean Republican. How are they going to break from Trump? Because they're almost going to have to, right? To try to distance themselves from him, to try to show independence. Listen, I hear you. These are the policies I don't agree with. You can still trust me. And I just don't think that any of these Republicans have balls to do that. I mean,
right,
they literally just don't have the stones. Yeah, they just don't have the stones, because they're worried that Trump is going to send a mean Truth Social post about him, right? And then they're going to get death threats. And then, God only knows, maybe some of the people in the House will stop talking to them at their meetings or in the Senate. So it's...
I mean, I at this point, though, when you see polls like this coming out, I mean, how could you do anything but have a clean break from Trump and just try to distance yourself from him for your next election that's right around the corner? I mean, who could honestly blame you, even on their side, to be like, yeah, man, no, it's politically expedient for you to.
That's not what they're going to do. You know what they're going to do? If
what are they
see this, they're going to retire, and that's what a lot of them are doing. because they don't have the balls to do it. Like that's why you're seeing a flood of retirements. Like first you saw Marjorie Taylor Greene, but then I think there was another handful of people. And watch as we get closer, people are gonna be like, "I'm not doing this."
Yep. Yep, I could see that. I mean, they're fighting a losing battle. They're losing the culture wars. They've overplayed their hand, and now they're dealing with the political repercussions of it, and it looks fucking ugly.
Yeah,
So
you said they're losing the culture war. I was promised, or I was told that TPUSA beat the Super Bowl. So I take, I don't know, I push back against that
I just
statement.
seen and just real quick on that, and we didn't plan to discuss this at
Yeah,
all, but
we didn't.
I seen Candace Owens put something out not too long ago because she's been at war with them saying like that they fake their views, and she says, "Listen, I'm recording this live right now. Right now," she looks up, she's like, "I have 85,000 people listening to me live. You're gonna see as soon as I stop recording this, YouTube's gonna go ahead and say I have about 200,000 views on this." Right? TPUSA claimed to have 6 million live viewers. As soon as the recording was done, somebody screenshotted it. They had 6,500 views.
Makes more sense to me. Honestly,
That
like
does.
65,
Totally.
yeah, 6,500 to like 20,000, somewhere
That
around
means like
there.
maybe 2,000 cycles were watching you live. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right, right. The TPUSA employees. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, anyways, guys, listen, we had a lot of fun doing this. We're going to be back. I think we're going to record on Tuesday. So we'll have some fresh takes coming to you guys on Wednesday and Thursday. But other than that, until then, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the bell notification so you can be notified when a new episode drops. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.
Peace.